the shadows of history, between the blood-stained sands of Jerusalem and the gilded palaces of Europe, a legend was born. Men who swore an oath of absolute poverty, yet became wealthier than kings. Warriors who vowed to protect the weak, yet whose names struck terror into the hearts of friend and foe alike. The Knights Templar. They were not just monks, and they were not just soldiers. They were the world's first multinational corporation, the architects of modern banking, and the most elite special forces of the Middle Ages. But how did these poor fellow soldiers of Christ rise to such heights, and why did their empire crumble in a single night of fire and blood? Today, we peel back the layers of myth to reveal the true story of the Knights Templar. The year is 1119. The First Crusade has ended, and the holy city of Jerusalem is under Christian control. But the roads leading to it are highways of death. Pilgrims traveling from Europe are being slaughtered and robbed by bandits. In the midst of this chaos, a French knight named Hugues de Payens and 8 companions approach King Baldwin II with a radical idea: a religious order of knights dedicated to protecting these pilgrims. They had nothing. Their early seal depicted 2 knights riding a single horse because they couldn't afford a mount for everyone. They called themselves the poor fellow soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon. The king granted them headquarters in a wing of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which Crusaders believed sat atop the ruins of the biblical temple. Thus, the name Templars was born. For 10 years, they remained a small, obscure group. But then came Bernard of Clairvaux. A monk of immense influence, Bernard became their PR agent. He convinced the Pope to officially recognize the order, and suddenly the gates of power swung wide open. To join the Templars was to sign a contract with death. A knight had to surrender everything: his property, his family, and his free will. Their code of conduct was brutal. They were forbidden from retreating unless the odds were at least 3 to 1. They could not ask for mercy, and no ransom would ever be paid for their release. On the battlefield, they were the tip of the spear. At the Battle of Montgisard, a small force of Templars helped a teenage leprous King Baldwin IV shatter the superior army of Saladin. They wore white mantles symbolizing purity, blazoned with a blood-red cross symbolizing martyrdom. They were a terrifying fusion of religious zeal and professional military precision. While the knights were fighting in the East, their administrative machine in Europe was building something the world had never seen. Because of a papal bull, the Templars were a state within a state. They paid no taxes to any king, and they could cross borders freely. They invented the grandfather of modern banking. Imagine you were a wealthy pilgrim in Paris. Carrying gold to Jerusalem is a death sentence. Instead, you deposit your gold at the Paris temple, receive a coded letter of credit, and upon reaching Jerusalem, you present the paper and withdraw your funds in local currency. These were the world's first checks. Their wealth became astronomical. They owned massive fleets of ships, thousands of estates, vineyards, and even the entire island of Cyprus. Soon, the kings of Europe, most notably King Philip IV of France, were deeply in debt to the Templars, and that debt would become the Order's death warrant. But no empire is invincible. In the East, a great leader arose, Saladin. He unified the Muslim world and began a systematic campaign to reclaim the Holy Land. In 1187, at the catastrophic Battle of Hattin, the Crusader armies were annihilated. Saladin, recognizing the Templars as his most dangerous enemies, refused to ransom them and ordered their execution. Jerusalem fell. Then, in 1291, the last Crusader stronghold of Acre was lost. Suddenly, the Templars were an army without a war. They were a massive financial institution living in Europe, meddling in royal politics with no holy mission left to justify their immense power. People began to whisper, "Why are these monks so rich when they failed to protect the Holy Sepulchre?" Enter King Philip IV of France, known as Philip the Fair. He was bankrupt and desperate. He owed the Templars a fortune he could never repay. So, instead of paying his debt, he decided to destroy his creditor. In a plot worthy of a spy thriller, Philip sent sealed orders to all his seneschals across France. They were not to be opened until the same hour, at dawn on Friday, October 13th, 1307, a date that many believe is the origin of the Unlucky Friday superstition. Thousands of Templars were arrested simultaneously. The charges were horrifying: heresy, spitting on the cross, and worshipping a mysterious idol called Baphomet. Under the most brutal torture, including the application of fire to the soles of their feet, many knights confessed to whatever the king's inquisitors wanted to hear. Pope Clement V, a weak man under Philip's thumb, officially dissolved the order. In 1314, the final blow was struck. Jacques de Molay, the last Grand Master of the order, was led to a pyre in the heart of Paris to be burned alive. As the flames rose, he's said to have shouted a terrifying curse, summoning the king and the pope to meet him before the judgment seat of God within a year. Chillingly, Pope Clement died only a month later. King Philip died 7 months after that in a mysterious hunting accident. The curse had seemingly claimed its victims, but the legend was only beginning. What happened to the Templar treasure? Where did the fleet go when it disappeared from the port of La Rochelle? Some say they fled to Scotland and helped Robert the Bruce win independence. Others believe they transformed into the Freemasons. From the Holy Grail to the Oak Island money pit, the shadow of the Templars stretches across the centuries. Were they holy protectors or greedy heretics? The truth likely lies somewhere in between. The Knights Templar remind us that power, wealth, and faith can build an empire that lasts centuries, but it can all vanish in a single night if it threatens the ego of a king. Today, their red cross remains one of the most recognized symbols in history. Their legacy is in every bank you visit and every mystery novel you read, but their greatest secret remains buried with them. What do you think? Is the Templar treasure still out there? Or was their true treasure the influence they left on the modern world? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe as we continue to unlock the secrets of the past.